Hello, my name is Greyson Chandler, and today I'm going to be talking about criminal justice reform, more specifically police reform, in my persuasive speech. 776. Maybe unclear on what this number means. This is the amount of people that have been killed from January 1st to September 1st of 2015. The group of people that killed them was the police forces of America. From January 1st to September 1st, all these people, only 161 of the people that were killed had weapons on them. That is a statistic from an article from the Mint Press News. With only a fifth of these people almost a fifth of these people killed had no weapons on them. They didn't have any possible ways to shoot the police who killed them. This constant use of excessive force by the police has been a problem that has been receiving major increase in media coverage. Rodney King and Mike Brown have become household names because of the coverage the media has been giving them to the cases in the aftermath of the killings. Police brutality is not just a small problem. It has become a nationwide epidemic with people from all states being killed. Change has to come soon, or that number, 776, will continue to rise. Police brutality has been happening throughout history. The civil rights movement was infamous for the amount of brutality that the people fighting experienced. What brought all the publicity onto police brutality was the beating of Rodney King. A bystander recorded the beating and turned it into a local TV station in Los Angeles. At the time, Los Angeles was already a city where racial tensions were extremely high. This video sparked a fire in people who sparked actual fires. The 4 officers were charged with assault with a deadly weapon and use of excessive force. The jury acquitted all 4 officers, and within hours of the acquitting, there were many riots in Los Angeles. The riots resulted in the deaths of 55 people, as well as injuring 2,383 people. There was over $1 billion of damage done during the LA riots. Even though this is not the first instance of police brutality in history, the Rodney King beating and the following riots were the catalyst for the public to really see the amount of damage police brutality has been doing for decades. In 2016, police brutality is at an all-time high. It seems like every other month, a new name is being shouted by protesters because they were killed by a police officer. The protesters are destroying cities. These riots are avoidable, though. The destruction and death does not have to happen. There are many ways in which communities can help reduce police brutality. They can work together with the police departments instead of against each other. It is possible to have peace. Police brutality can be stopped through nonviolent protests and educating citizens on police brutality. The riots of Baltimore and Ferguson are the wrong kind of riots that need to be happening. These riots where citizens are attacking police officers are not helping the cause. It only gives people another reason to use excessive force and fear. It only uses the police and gives police another reason to use excessive force and fear that they will be harmed. These riots are not what needs to be happening. The peaceful protest is the rebellion that needs to occur. The protests following the killings of these 2 men were not used in the way to give a voice to the communities, but as an excuse for the violence. The communities need to unite in order to have the people in charge listen to them. If they're just burning buildings and stores to the ground to try and send a message, and the people in charge will not give their statements a look because they're protesting in the wrong way and just harming other people. Something that is essential in the argument of police brutality is having people know exactly what police brutality is and what it looks like. Educating the communities is what needs to happen. On the Communities United Against Police Brutality homepage of their website, they list many ways to fight against police brutality, and a way is education on police brutality. In their steps, it states, "One of the goals of our organization is to mobilize public awareness about the causes and effects of racial profiling and police brutality through the media, public service announcements, community meetings, and public forums, workshops in schools and colleges." This organization is a leader in the battle against police brutality. They have been helping out victims of police brutality families and been a key part in educating citizens and showing them what is and what is not police brutality. This problem is being seen by countless government officials and programs. Even the president has addressed it. The problem has been affecting the nation for decades. Hundreds of lives lost every single year. Thousands of people affected by police brutality. Police brutality will be stopped in the coming future. The end of all the pain, suffering, and losses will come to an end soon. The only way for this problem is having civilian review boards for police stations in every city and reconstructing the police training program. Dating back to the 1950s, civilian review boards of police activity have been a way for civilians of a town to feel like any misconduct by the police will not to be shrugged off like it did not happen, or like an officer was given a slap on the wrist. In the beginning of this idea, the citizens did not want to believe that any of their complaints they did not believe that any of their complaints were being taken seriously, so they wanted a way to have a say in the police officers' wrongdoings. At first, it was completely rejected by the police officers. They viewed it as an invasion of their job. But after many tries, civilian review boards were adopted, but even to this day, they're not entirely effective. According to the American Civil Liberties Union, three ways in which investigations on police conduct can go as follows. Type 1, persons who are not sworn officers conduct the initial fact-finding. They submit an investigative report to a non-officer or board of non-officers, who then make a recommendation for action to the police chief. This process is the most independent and most civilian. This form of investigation gives the civilians barely any say in what happens. They suggest to the police chief that something should be done. Type 2, sworn officers conduct the initial fact-finding. They submit an investigative report to a non-officer or a board of non-officers for a recommendation. And the final type 3, sworn officers conduct the initial fact-finding and make a recommendation to the police chief. If the aggrieved citizen is not satisfied with the chief's action on the complaint, he or she may appeal to the board, that includes non-officers. This type is the last resort of an investigation. If the citizens feel like the investigation or verdict was wrongly executed, then this is the step which needs to be put into place. These methods of investigation of police departments are very good assets to the civilian review boards. There have been too many lives taken by police because their first instinct was to reach for the pistol on their hip. This compulsive action is factored highly into the problems involved with police training programs. They are taught that they need to protect themselves and to never let their guard down. In an article by Seth Stoughton, a former police officer, Stoughton makes accounts of his police training, whether it be at the academy or in annual police trainings. They learn that every encounter, every individual, is a potential threat. They always have to be on their guard because, as one cop often says, complacency kills. The officers are taught that they are the priority in the situations. They have to be taught that they can protect the civilians that they are sworn to protect in different ways than by using brutal and often lethal force. These three solutions being educating the public, reforming police training, and forming civilian review boards are the ways that will lead the nation into eliminating all the death caused by police brutality. The citizens will no longer fear the police, but will know that the police are there to protect them once again. If we do not study what we have tried in order to assess the issue now, that number 776 will continue to rise.